Lee Marvin, Hollywood's toughest man, openly named the stars he couldn't stand, and some of them will shock you. Lee Marvin wasn't your average movie star. The gravel-voiced tough guy actor made audiences tremble in The Dirty Dozen and laugh in Cat Ballou, but off-screen, he had a list, 7 actors he couldn't stand, and when Marvin spoke, Hollywood listened or cringed. Want to support our channel? Join the Echo Insider. Just hover over the Echo Insider icon, click and watch new videos before anyone else. Lee Marvin wasn't born to Hollywood glamour, he was born into grit. February 19th, 1924, New York City. A place of noise, chaos, and opportunity. His family, pure military tradition. His father had fought in World War I. His brother would later follow the same path. Discipline, order, and toughness were expected, but Marvin, he was restless, wild, a storm in a kid's body. School couldn't contain him. Rules bored him. Authority irritated him. And somewhere in all that defiance, a spark of intensity was born. A raw, untamed energy that would one day light up the silver screen. Even as a kid, people noticed he was different. He had presence before he even knew what that meant. He could command attention without saying a word, and that rebellious streak hinted at the kind of man he would become. Fearless, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. From playground scraps to daring dares, Marvin was learning one of life's first lessons. Survival requires toughness, but charisma will get you remembered. After the war, Lee Marvin didn't immediately step into fame. Life tossed him around. Odd jobs, uncertainty, and a restless energy that couldn't be contained. He worked as a plumber's assistant at a local community theater, a place most would barely notice. But fate has a funny way of finding those who are ready. One day, an actor fell ill, and Marvin, tall, imposing, intense, was asked to step in. Just like that, the stage became his battlefield, and he never looked back. It wasn't just luck. Marvin had fire. Mentors recognized it. Directors noticed it. Audiences would later feel it. At the American Theater Wing in New York, he trained, honed, and refined his craft, but he did it on his own terms. No sugarcoating, no hiding, just raw magnetic presence that made people lean in. And when Hollywood caught wind of this unique force, he began the slow climb from stage to screen, carving a path that few could follow, and even fewer could survive. Marvin didn't just enter acting, he stormed in, leaving an unmistakable mark. The 1950s were Marvin's proving ground. Hollywood loved its villains and soldiers, and Marvin became the man you never forgot. The heavy you cheered for, feared, or both. Films like The Big Heat and Bad Day at Black Rock didn't just showcase his skill, they cemented his reputation. Menacing, authentic, unstoppable. Audiences didn't just see him, they felt him. Every line, every glare, every movement carried weight. He was more than an actor, he was a force of nature on screen. Then came the 1960s, the era that transformed him from a trusted supporting actor to a leading man whose name could sell tickets. The man who shot Liberty Valance had him standing toe-to-toe with legends like John Wayne and James Stewart, and he held his own, radiating a dangerous magnetism. Then came Cat Ballou, where he stunned audiences with dual roles, a drunken gunslinger and a cunning villain, proving he could make people laugh, cry, and gasp all in the same scene. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor, and Hollywood had no choice but to take notice. And yet, despite fame, Marvin never played Hollywood's game. He didn't chase image, polish, or applause. He carved his own path, a dangerous mix of brilliance, unpredictability, and raw honesty that kept everyone, audiences, directors, even co-stars, on edge. By the time he starred in The Dirty Dozen, Marvin wasn't just an actor anymore. He was legend in motion, a man whose presence demanded respect and whose choices kept the industry guessing. Behind the gravelly voice and steel-cold stare, Lee Marvin's life was a whirlwind of love, loss, and scandal, Hollywood style. In April 1952, at the height of his early rise, he married Betty Ebeling. Together, they had 4 children: Christopher, Courtney, Cynthia, and Claudia. On the surface, it looked like the American dream. A rugged star, a beautiful family, and a life in the spotlight. But beneath the facade, tension simmered. Marvin's war scars, relentless drive, and raw intensity didn't vanish when the cameras stopped rolling. Coupled with heavy drinking and the pressures of Hollywood, his marriage began to crack. The couple separated for 2 years, and in January 1967, divorce became inevitable. The split left emotional scars, not just on Marvin, but on his children, who were forced to navigate both the glare of fame and the fallout of family turmoil. And if that wasn't enough drama, Betty later revealed in her memoir that Marvin had been unfaithful. Rumors swirling around an alleged affair with acclaimed actress Anne Bancroft. These revelations painted a picture of a man as complex as the roles he played. Brilliant, magnetic, flawed, and sometimes brutally selfish. Yet Marvin's story didn't end there. After the public fallout, he entered one of the most famous legal sagas of the era, his relationship with Michelle Triola, which led to the groundbreaking palimony lawsuit of the 1970s. The nation watched as Hollywood's roughest anti-hero became embroiled in a legal battle that challenged the norms of relationships, money, and cohabitation rights. Eventually, love came full circle. Marvin reconnected with Pamela Feely, his childhood sweetheart, and married her in 1970. Unlike his earlier romances, this one endured. Pamela stayed by his side through career highs, personal lows, and even his declining health. In her memoir, she revealed a softer, affectionate side of Marvin that no screen could capture, a man who could be tender, vulnerable, and deeply human, despite the tough exterior the world knew. Lee Marvin wasn't just a tough guy on the screen, he was a force of nature off it. To Hollywood, he was unpredictable, blunt, and sometimes downright terrifying. He had zero patience for pretentiousness, laziness, or ego-driven behavior. If someone annoyed him, he said it, and he meant it. Marvin's personality was a mirror of his war experience: scars, intensity, and a no-nonsense approach to life that brooked no nonsense from anyone. People loved him or feared him. He didn't do small talk, he didn't play politics, and he certainly didn't fake admiration to climb Hollywood ladders. Co-stars, directors, and crews quickly learned that Marvin's approval was earned, never assumed. He was the rare actor who'd rather burn bridges than pretend to like someone he despised. And yet, since, for those who understood him, there was a loyalty, a generosity, a fierce sense of integrity. He could inspire devotion as quickly as he could provoke tension, and that tension often spilled into legendary Hollywood stories that remain talked about even today. Even with fame, Marvin maintained his independence. He avoided the trappings of celebrity, preferring fishing trips, boating, and quiet life away from the cameras. The world saw the rugged screen icon, but those who knew him saw a man fiercely protective of his values, his craft, and his loved ones. His reputation wasn't just a Hollywood persona, it was the raw, uncompromising essence of the man himself. Marvin's later career only cemented his mythic status. The 1970s and 80s brought films like Emperor of the North, The Klansman, Avalanche Express, and Gorky Park. Even as Hollywood evolved around him, Marvin stayed true to the characters he believed in: tough, complex, flawed, unforgettable. And when he co-starred with Chuck Norris in the Delta Force, he reminded audiences that his edge, the grit, the intensity, the authenticity, was timeless. He didn't chase trends, and he didn't compromise for chase. Every performance carried weight because it came from a life lived fully, marked by war, struggle, scandal, and triumph. Marvin left behind a legacy not just of movies, but of raw authenticity, a standard for what it means to be fearless, both on and off screen. Even after his death in 1987, at age 63, Marvin's story continued to resonate. His life wasn't just about the roles he played, it was about the man behind them. A Marine, a father, a husband, a lover, a friend, and a fighter who refused to compromise. He showed the world that greatness isn't about charm, fame, or polish. It's about courage, intensity, and refusing to settle for anything less than the truth. Lee Marvin didn't just act tough, he lived tough. And in Hollywood, where so much is fake, that truth is scandalous and unforgettable. Lee Marvin died in 1987 at 63, leaving behind an unforgettable legacy, a tough screen presence, a fearless personality, and a brutally honest perspective on the actors he worked with. His story reminds us that behind every legendary actor is a human being, flawed, opinionated, and unafraid to speak their mind. And in Marvin's case, some truths were downright shocking. If you enjoyed this story, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It really makes us smile. And if you're hungry for more fascinating tales, check out the 2 videos right below. You might just discover your next favorite story.